Hi guys, and welcome to another batch of your replays. We're sticking with the recent formula for these videos, and we're going to show one slightly higher tier, one slightly lower tier game. And you'll notice that the subtitle for today's video was A Perfect Storm, because both replays today have a lot in common. Not only in what happens during the replays, but the fact that both of these replays were sent in by two different players, but they arrived in my inbox quite some time ago, but they arrived within minutes of each other. So they were very, very closely linked. As a result, I downloaded them one after the other. I watched them one after the other. And after watching these games, it sort of occurred to me that there was a theme. There was a theme to both these replays, even though they're both very, very different tanks. So I ended up calling this video A Perfect Storm, because both of these tanks that I'm going to be featuring in today's video aren't very good. I mean, they don't get a very good reputation for various reasons, but the main reason is they don't get special matchmaking. And for example, in this game with Vim B6 in the Black Prince, the tier 7 British heavy tank, I've covered the tank on the channel recently and did a mini review during my own ace tanker, but the Black Prince, it's, to be honest, not very good. It's very, very slow, it's very, very situational, it hurts on big open maps with arty. It doesn't get special matchmaking, so it's going to see tier 8s and tier 9s, and while the armor can be very, very good. You've got very, very good gun mantlet, very, very good frontal turret armor. You've got big tracks that allow you to side scrape and bounce higher tier tanks or absorb shots from higher tier tanks. The hull armor is absolutely terrible. The hull armor is much, much worse than it is actually in the garage. So yeah, the hull armor is poor, and the gun is absolutely terrible. 171 millimeters of penetration, 150 damage. You know, the usual British 17-pounder, which is not a bad gun, but when you consider this is a tier 7 that sees tier 9s, you're going to be shooting tier 9s with 171 millimeters of penetration and 150 damage. So the Black Prince is one of these tanks that is absolutely terrible. It's not very highly regarded by a lot of players. It sucks. It really does suck when it gets into higher tier games. As I say, if it's on big open maps, it's slow, it's unmaneuverable, it's an arty magnet, it has a gun that really isn't very good against higher tier tanks, it has a armor that isn't very good against higher tier tanks unless you can go hold down and use that gun mantlet. Yeah, so it's not particularly a strong tank, but when I was covering this tank, and I did a mini review during my own ace tanker a couple of months ago, I did say that this tank can be amazing, and it can be amazing when it gets the right circumstances, like a city map. Check, this map is a city map, it's Himmelsdorf. Like, it's top tier. When it's top tier, this tank can be great. And it's top tier, another check mark. The gun I mentioned was terrible against higher tier tanks, but against similar tier, lower tier tanks, the gun is great. And check, that's what we've got in this particular game. The speed and mobility aren't going to be a big negative for this tank in this particular game because it's a city map. It's a small city map. There isn't very far to go, and most of the enemy tanks are going to be coming to you, which is what you want in a big, slow, unmaneuverable heavy tank. So check, that's another thing covered. There is arty in the game. There are two arty on the enemy team, but it's a city map. So again, not going to be that big an influence. So as far as the Black Prince goes, this is a perfect storm. Vim B6 has found himself here on Himmelsdorf in a top tier game, top tier heavy, against not that many tier 7s, a lot of tier 6s and tier 5s. RT isn't going to be an issue, his speed mobility isn't going to be an issue, he's not going to have higher tier tanks shooting at him, he's going to be able to use his gun depression, 8 degrees of gun depression, he's going to be able to use his turret gun mantlet, he can go hull down on this map, and yeah, it's just a perfect storm. So that's why the name of the video today, or the subtitle, is A Perfect Storm. We're gonna go, and when you play a tank to its strengths, and when you get it into a matchup like this, as I say, it is a perfect storm, and Vim B6 is going to show this. You want to keep an eye on the hit marker, the hit log that appears down in the bottom left hand corner. Vim is going to be receiving a lot of hits in this game, but as I say, it's a perfect storm for the Black Prince, and as much as I hate this tank, I did say it when I was covering the tank on the channel before, there is a perfect situation for this tank when it gets onto a city map and it's top tier, which is exactly what has happened. So it's very good at shooting on the move, and Vim has moved up and he's going hull down. He's going to be side scraping, he's going hull down. And you can see his turret armor already at work here, bouncing a T-25 too. So again, Tiger 1, he's bouncing top tier tanks because he's hull down and he's side scraping. And there we go, his turret armor's just bounced a S35. So yeah, he's just going to work here, and he's bounced 4 shots already. Again, a bounce on his hull, on his gun mantlet, and he's doing a little bit of auto aiming, but you know, nothing too serious here. And he finally gets penned. A Cheeto manages to sneak a shot into his turret roof, but Cheeto gets taken out. So there we go. He can go back to work on these other tier 6s and tier 7s and a couple of tier 5s. So Stura, depending on what gun this tank is using, the Stura is using, it could be dangerous, but he side scrapes the S35. And again, going to work here. T1 Heavy's gun mantlet might be a problem. Jackson moves up, he shoots the Jackson in the worst possible place, where the Jackson has the most armor. There goes my phone, but ignore that. Not sure if you can hear that. But yeah, he's just hull down here. He's been penned once, he's taken 14 hits. There's 15 hits, he's only been penned once. And this tank, when it's played to its strength, can be an absolute beast. So takes out the T1 Heavy, and there we go. It looks as if the S35 is using the big gun, and 423 damage. But he moves a little bit further into cover, going back to work on this Jackson. But he's trusting, he's got a lot of hit points, and there's his turret armor again. So he's playing the tank perfectly, and the Black Prince, as much as I hate it, as I say, I mentioned in the past, it is incredibly good when it gets into the right circumstances, and this is all the right circumstances. So he could move around, get shots on these tanks, but he's worried about that S35. Yep, the S35 is back, so he very quickly angles, tries to side scrape, shows off his turret armor, and bounces again. Now the S35 gets taken out by the Gorilla, and that means that Vim can just move forward, and he can start shooting on the move, which this tank is very good at. See the low alpha damage here. He angles, a little bit over angled, but still bounces the Tiger P, shows his tracks, moving up on the Tiger. And again, you notice he's not pointing his tank directly at the enemy. He's always staying at an angle, so he's using the tracks to cover as much of the tank as he can. Unfortunately, Tiger still is able to pen him, but look at the rate of fire. This tank is just an absolute beast when it is top tier. So that's the 3rd kill for Vim. He's up to 3k damage, and he has taken 22 hits and only been penned 3 times. This is how the Black Prince can be played when it's top tier. Perfect storm, perfect situation, and as much as I hate the tank, and I think the tank is terrible, as I say, in the right circumstances, this tank can be an absolute beast. You're going to see another negative for the tank here. Again, just speed and mobility is so slow. It's even going downhill, it's only doing 24 kilometers an hour. There's a Stug on the other side of the battlefield that Vim is never ever going to get anywhere near. Stug goes down, T25 that hasn't been spotted in quite a while, and Artie. So Vim is just poking, looking for potential shots. He's on 655 hit points. I think he's waiting for the T25 to be flushed out of cover, but that isn't happening. So once again, he plods on, doing 21 kilometers an hour, downhill, trying to locate Artie. Artie has been located. And is he going to get any more damage out of this game? So, no! He rushes his shot, the M12. And wow. Wow, what a shot by the M12. Absolutely nothing to hit. Manages to land a shot on Vim. Reduces him to 126 health. But yeah, M12, well played. He gets does a lot of damage before he gets taken out. No suiciding for that RT player. He decided to go down fighting, and he ended up getting a lot more damage done as a result. So just 1 tank left on the enemy team. It's a T25, and Vim is just going to be too slow to catch up. So even in a perfect storm, the Black Prince is going to have problems wrapping up at the end of games. So team are spreading out. They found the T25. It's down in spawn. He's taking fire. And even the T25 goes down fighting, taking out a Hellcat as a mutual exchange. So Vim finished up with an ace in the Black Prince. He also picked up a steel wall and a high caliber, playing the tank to its strengths and, as I say, getting it into a perfect storm. Top tier city map against a lot of lower tier tanks and RT not being too much of a threat. 3,000 damage, 3 kills and 1,261 XP. Yep, Matilda Black Prince can be, or not the Matilda, I keep on saying the Matilda Black Prince, sorry. The Black Prince can be incredibly strong when it gets the right circumstances, but overall I think it isn't a very good tank. But you can see the Vim fired 25, he hit 23, pen 21. The gun, very very good when it's top tier, terrible when it's not. He did 3k damage, which is incredibly good, but he received 23 hits and managed to bounce 19 of them. And this is where the Black Prince's armor can be very very good. Side scraping, angling, and staying hull down, using your gun mantlet to deflect a lot of shots. And he blocked 5,230 damage with his armor. He spotted 5 damage, 7 destroyed 3. Didn't do that much assistance damage, but 567 still good, and earned almost 40,000 credits with a premium account. Yeah, perfect storm for the Matilda Black Prince. And we're not done yet, because next up we've got Hey 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 Stay Out of My Shed, which is one of the longest but most amusing names I think I've received on a replay. He is here in his Panzer S35 or Samoa S35, the tier 3 German premium medium tank, which is a tank I reviewed a long time ago on the channel. But a lot like the Black Prince, what I ended up saying about this tank is that this is a tank that is incredibly good when it gets top tier. The armor is very very good, very very forgiving if it's top tier. The gun is very very good if it's top tier. The speed and mobility can be quite good if they're top tier. And yeah, it's another perfect storm, very like the first game, where basically Hey 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 Stay Out of My Shed is top tier. It's Mittengard and it's a tier 3 game, but there are only 3 tier 3s on either side, so absolutely perfect storm for this tank. Now, just like the Black Prince, 55 damage, 52 damage, 55 penetration, incredibly good as a top tier tank. Premium ammo, 90mm of penetration, 52 damage, incredibly good as a top tier tank. But when it gets into higher tier games, and this doesn't get special matchmaking like the Black Prince, even though it's a premium tank, it will get into tier 5 games. In tier 5 games, the tank is absolutely dreadful. So it's incredibly strong when it gets the right circumstances, but against higher tier tanks or big open maps, it's not quite so good. The armor isn't good against higher tier tanks, the gun isn't good against higher tier tanks, but we don't have to worry about this. Now, this is an older replay, you'll see that because there's a T18 on the enemy team. That tank was changed to RT in patch 9.10, I think, or was it patch 9.12? I can't remember. T18s don't exist except in RT form now, but yeah, perfect matchup for Hey 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 Stay Out of My Shed, and he's going to show you how forgiving and how good this tank can be when you're top tier. Just on a side note, this is, as I say, Mittengard, and even though I hate this map and it's a roll down the hill, pew pew, close quarter combat, you know, choke point map, they've nerfed this map even more. So a lot of these positions you're seeing now, a lot of these windows are no longer accessible. They've nerfed Mittengard so that it's even more of a corridor map. There are so many positions in Mittengard where you can no longer just move up, stay hold down like Hey Hey is doing here. That window, I believe, that position has been nerfed. The positions I usually use over to the left of the minimap, they've all been nerfed. It's just an even more of a choke point map now. But yep, top tier. What you can see is Hey Hey moving forward. He's going to show you how good this tank can be when it's top tier. He bounces his first shot. He bounces his second shot. He's at a bad angle, but he straightens up. He angles. So now he's at a better angle. He bounces a Panzer 2D. Look how good this is against lower tier tanks. He's bouncing, bouncing, bouncing. Look at that hit log. 12 shots, only 1 penetrating hit received. He is just going all out now. Again, not that much skill being shown here. I mean, he's not playing passively. He's playing very aggressively. He's in the middle of the map. He's got tanks to his right. He's got tanks to his left, but he's relying on his tank. It's forgiving. It's bouncing. It's bouncing more shots, it's bouncing HE, it's bouncing standard AP. He's getting shot in the rear, but he bounces one shot as well. And he's just charging down this Panzer 2D. He just doesn't care. Yeah, perfect storm for a Panzer S35. But he's going for the ram kill, and someone else nicks the kill. That nasty UC 2-pounder steals the kill. You can see that even a side shot on a T-82 basically bounces. So, I mean, the gun is great when it's top tier, but it can still let you down. He's got his rear to enemy tanks, but they're failing to pen him. Oh, T-18 just bounced, but T-18 is dangerous, and he gets hit by HE from the T-82. But he's got more than enough penetration. He knows what he's doing. He's actually going for the upper plate here on the T-18. Takes him out. Yeah, T-82 put a big shot into him, and now he's been penned by the Cruiser 3, but thankfully someone took out the T-82. He's moving up, shot in the move misses, but he's on 5 kills. He's bouncing from the rear on a T-2 medium. This tank is just so forgiving. In the perfect storm, in a perfect situation, just like the first game, this tank can be extremely strong, but as I say, it's not a very good tank when it gets into top tier games. Beautiful shot there to take out a T2 medium, but he has bounced 50 shots. He has received 50 shots. He's down to 33 health, isn't able to pick up the last kill for kill number 8, but yeah, Panzer S35, very good when it gets a perfect storm. So another ace for Hey Stay Out of My Shed. Now, I will admit he was quite lucky. A lot of those tanks could have done serious damage to them had they been using top guns, had they been firing premium ammo. A lot of bounces on his rear, a lot of bounces on his side. There were a couple of places where he angled well, but this tank, again, when it's top tier, the armor is good, the gun is good, but when it gets into tier 5 games, it can be absolutely awful. But an ace for Hey Stay Out of My Shed, or Hey Stay Out of My Shed to be perfectly accurate. We also picked up a cool-headed, high-caliber top gun in that particular game. He finished top on XP with 1153, did over 1,000 damage in a tier 3, 7 kills. Top tier, this tank can be an absolute beast. 34 shots fired, he hit 29, pen 24. So even though he wasn't firing premium, he didn't need it in that game. Sometimes the gun let him down, but it's still very good for a top tier tank. Spotted 2, damaged 11, damaged most of the enemy team, destroyed 7 of them and did 148 assistance damage. Wasn't playing with a premium account, but still earned over almost 18,500 credits with a standard account. Yeah, perfect storm, both for the Panzer S35 and the Black Prince from so I want to thank VimB6, I want to thank Hey Stay Out of My Shed for sending those replays in quite a long time ago. I just found it very weird, the similarities between both games, and it gave me something to talk about. So I apologize I haven't brought them to the channel before now, but thank you guys for sending them in. I hope you guys at home enjoyed watching them. No matter how bad a tank can be, if it's a beast at top tier, then you can have absolutely amazing games in a perfect storm. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.